Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing some mushroom and mold photography. It's been really rainy the past few days and I don't usually do mushroom or mold photography, so I thought I'd just get out of the house and give it a go. If you watch this channel a lot, you'll know I'm specialised in bug photography, macro photography of bugs. So this is a little bit different and I thought I'd just challenge myself. It's nice to do something different anyway, just refreshes the creativity in your brain. So let's see how this goes. So this area here has quite a lot of fallen logs or twigs, because they're quite small actually. And as you can see here, we've got some, I don't know what those are, some sort of mushrooms. And then over here, I found this mushroom, which I think will be quite good for a photograph. So we'll see what we can get with this mushroom here. So as you can see, I'm using this little mini tripod and I've put the inside pole upside down so I can have the camera really low to the ground. And I was hoping to get the detail of the underneath of the mushroom, but I actually can't get any lower than this. Although I can see a little bit of the texture coming out from the underneath of the mushroom. So at least I've got a bit of it. All right, so settings for this shot, I think I'm gonna shoot at f5.6, ISO 200, which is the base ISO. And there's not really any wind or any vibrations or anything affecting the mushroom. So I think I can lower my shutter speed quite low and get away with that. And for my white balance, I'm going to use custom white balance, which I don't usually use. I usually just use a preset white balance. That's because I mostly use flash, and flash works quite well, which is the preset white balance. And to get more of my subject in focus, I'm going to be focus bracketing and then using those images to focus stack later on my computer. So f5.6 and ISO 200. My shutter speed comes out at 1/20, which is quite slow, but the mushroom doesn't seem to be moving at all. So let's give this a go. There we are. As you can tell, the shutter is silent, and that's because it's using electronic shutter. And the reason it uses that is because in bracketing mode, it has to use electronic shutter. I'm pretty happy with that shot. I don't think I can really do much else. So not far from the last shot, I found some of these moldy, mushroomy things. I'm gonna say the wrong name for a lot of things today because I'm not great at identifying, but if you know what these are, let me know in the comments. There's a lot of them on this mossy stump, and I don't know if you can see on the back of the screen there, but there's two framed up quite nicely, and I'm not all the way at like 2x magnification. I wanted to get a nice composition rather than just get as close as I can. So let's see what the shot looks like. So again, I'm going to be using f5.6 and the base ISO on this camera, which is ISO 200. And then I'm going to adjust my shutter speed to get the correct exposure. And right now, 1/2.5 seconds seems to be exposing the image correctly. And then I'm just going to focus just before the subject is in focus and then press the shutter to start the bracketing sequence. I'm just going to wait until it's taken all the images. And again, it's silent because it's using electronic shutter, so I'll just cut until the image is done. There we are. That should be quite a nice looking shot. Usually I just want to get as close as I can to things, but today I'm thinking more about composition than just getting close to things. I know I just said I'm not going to do extreme close-ups and focus more on composition today, but I just found a perfect opportunity for quite a high magnification shot. So I found this broken mushroom here, and it's got all like the gills on the underneath of the mushroom, and I've just placed it up against this log so I can get a nice detailed shot of those gills at 2x magnification. So because I'm bracketing this shot, I want to bracket the least amount of shots possible. And to do that, I'm going to shoot straight on, so the focal plane is like that. Whereas if I shot with the mushroom slanted that way, I'd have to bracket all the way to the back, if you know what I mean. It's hard to explain. But essentially, the way I've placed the subject, I'll have to bracket less shots. Because I'm more magnified, I might try a different aperture, and it's not moving at all. So I should get away with a really slow shutter speed. I'll try f8 and ISO 200, and then my shutter speed comes out to 1/3. If you're using the OM system 90mm and you want to use bracketing, you got to make sure to put the focus clutch back forward, which I forgot to do there. And that will engage the connection between the lens and the camera again, so focus bracketing will work. Let's get this shot. The white balance looked a bit weird, so I'm just going to change the white balance. A bit colder, 4600 Kelvin, looks quite nice. It looks a bit dark as well, so I'll go a tiny bit brighter. So the shutter speed is really slow, and it's gonna have to take quite a few images to get the bracket. So I'm just gonna cut to when the bracket is done. There we are. Might just do one more as well while we've got it set up. Do the right side of the mushroom. It looks a tiny bit more interesting, to be fair. All right, let's get this shot. On my camera, it says the image is overexposed by 0.7 stops. And to be honest, when I'm taking the image, it looks perfectly fine. It's probably because the metering mode I'm using is just reading it a bit wrong because I'm so magnified. And I think this bracket is done, so we'll hit the shutter to stop it. There we are. And I think that's quite a nice image. Hopefully it turned out well when it comes to stacking later on. For this next shot, I've found a tiny little orangey mushroom there. And as you can see, I'm not using a tripod because I was using the tripod and I couldn't get my camera low enough. So I've had to just balance it on the ground. And it works, but it's not perfect. It is a bit risky, like I could press the shutter and then it just falls over or starts moving as it's doing the bracket. But either way, we'll try and get this shot. All right, so I've got the shot set up, just resting it on the earth. Got all the white balance set, everything. Shutter speed is 1/4. So if my camera starts moving as it's bracketing, then the shot's gonna be blurry. So I've got to make sure that is not the case. I'm just gonna keep an eye on the camera and make sure it doesn't move at all while it's bracketing. And I'm gonna try not to move around as well, because if I could tread on a twig and that will move the camera. You never know. There's been many times where I've got home and noticed that my shots are blurry because of that. I think the bracket is done. So we're gonna hit the shutter button again to end the bracketing sequence. And that should be good. And just to be sure, I'll have a quick check on the back of my camera. All looks good on the back of the camera, so hopefully the stack is nice and sharp. Okay, so I've just stumbled across something that I really don't know what it is. I've never really seen something like this. It's a sort of yellowish ball. I don't know if it's some sort of egg or if I'm just being stupid and it's just some sort of plant thing, I don't know, or a seed. I don't really know what this is. It looks like it might be an egg. That's why it caught my interest, and I think I'm just gonna get a photo of it anyway, because for all I know, it could be something rare or it could be something common. I really don't know, but it's interesting, so I'll get a photo of that. Right, I've got the subject framed, got it focused just before the subject starts. Gonna be using f5.6, so ISO 200 again. Shutter speed is coming out to 1/6, and let's get the shot. So while my camera brackets this shot, if you have any ideas what the subject is, leave a comment, because I have no idea. I think the bracket is done, so I'm just gonna hit the shutter again. There we are. And yeah, if anyone knows what that is, let me know in the comments. On to the next subject. We've got two mushrooms that are quite tall looking, and I like how they're next to each other. It's a nice shot to show off some scale. And as you can see, I'm resting the camera on the floor because the mushrooms are very low to the ground, and I'm just resting my camera on a little twig there to get the composition how I want it. So let's see how this shot turns out. Alright, settings wise for this shot, I was actually going to use f4 to get an even blurrier background, and then I realised that because of the magnification on the lens, you're limited to f5, that was it. I can only use f5. I think I just saw a little deer. I thought it was a dog at first, but it looks like one of those tiny little deers. Anyway, back onto the shot. So I've got it all set up, f5.6. ISO 200 and 1/1.6 for this shutter speed. It's looking a little overexposed. I think the lighting's changed since I've set up the camera that I'm filming on. Make it a tiny bit darker. 1/2.5. Let's go for that. That's looking all right. We'll go with that. Even though I'm at f5.6, the background is still really blurry because obviously I'm very close to my subject, and that is a factor of depth of field. But there we are, there's our bracket done. Quite like the background on that. You had the gradient from the green to the brown of the leaves. So for my next subject, I've found these bits of orangey mold here. And I don't know if I'm too keen on this shot, to be honest. I've isolated these 3 on the very left, and yeah, don't know if I'm too keen on it really, but I'm not going to bother setting up the camera because there's this big twig in the way and it doesn't really look that appealing. So I'll just hold the camera here and show you what it looks like from my perspective real quick. I've got the camera upside down, all the settings ready, f5.6, so you know the drill. I've been using the same settings for the whole video pretty much because they just work. But anyway, I'm going to hit the shutter, and as you can see, if it'll focus. Yeah, it's doing the bracketing sequence there. And this takes anywhere from 10 seconds to a minute. It really depends on how many images I'm bracketing. And that depends on the depth of field, my aperture, the angle I'm shooting at, a lot of stuff like that. But as you can see, the bracket is pretty much done. It's bracketed. All of that there, those 3 mold spiky things. Again, I'm not great at identifying, so if you have any idea what that is, let me know in the comments. But once my bracket's done, just click the shutter again, and there we are. And now I'm going to stack those later on using Zareen Stacker on my computer. I wasn't going to photograph this originally. It's another one of those orange mushrooms that I found on a tree, but this one is in quite a easier spot to photograph, and I quite like how it's coming out of the side of that, whatever it's on, bit of bark. The way it bends makes for a nice composition. And I placed a fern there for a nice background and a fern there for some foreground interest. I think it'll just make quite a nice shot. So let's see how this looks. So for this shot, I'm going to use f4. And earlier I couldn't use f4 when I wanted to, and that's because I was at 2 times magnification, and that limits you to f5 minimum aperture. Whereas when you're not shooting at 2 times magnification, you can use f3.5 as the lowest aperture. So we've got the shot framed up using f4, ISO 200. Our shutter speed is coming out at 1/8, 1/8. So let's start the bracket. And this should be quite a quick one because it shouldn't need as many frames because I'm less magnified. There we go. Finish the bracket. I've now got mud all over my camera. This next subject I'm quite happy about. We've got this orange twisty looking mushroom, and I'm really happy with how the composition looks. Just the twistiness of the mushroom is really cool, and the green around it just contrasts it nicely, and it has nice foreground as well. Just really happy with the shot. So yeah, let's see how it turns out. All right, so we got this shot all framed up. White balance is all good. I'm going to use an aperture of f5 for this one. Exposure's changed again because the sun keeps coming in and out, so just got to adjust my shutter speed to 1/8 and press the shutter again to end it. There we are. Right, so I've seen a lot of stumps with mushrooms on them like this, like loads of mushrooms. And while I think it looked really cool, I just feel like it's not great to get a photo. Like, I don't know how to photograph it really. And also they look quite damaged and not the best looking. I think they'd be better off just doing normal photography, like getting a composition like this or something, wide angle. But for macro, I'm not too keen on photographing them. So I've just come across some weird looking slime stuff. As you can see on the back of the camera, I framed up my shot there on these bits over here. And yeah, they're very weird looking. Some sort of slime, I'm not too sure, some sort of mold. If you know what it is, let me know in the comments because I don't really know. So I've got my subject framed up and I've got it focused just before the subject starts. And settings wise, I'm going to be using f5, ISO 200, and my shutter speed comes out at 1/6. And I'm going to I've done my white balance, that's 4600 for this shot. Sun's came out a little bit, so that might add some shape to the subject. So I'm just going to shoot it right now before the sun goes away. Yeah, it looks quite nice. It looks a bit bland before the sun came out. There we are, that shot's done. So as you've seen today, I've just been shooting with natural light, no added lights, no flash, nothing like that. And that's just because I want to start off basic like that, get used to it. And then once I've warmed up quite a bit, next time I come, I might try flash, I might try external flash, I might try some little cube light or LEDs, something like that. But today I just wanted to keep it simple and just use natural light, see how that went. But yeah, I think I'm going to call it there for today's video. I've shot a lot of images. Let me know which one's your favourite down in the comments. And yeah, I think I'll be doing this again. I quite enjoyed it, so stay tuned. There should be more of this coming soon on the channel. But with all that said and done, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.